Hello and welcome to What's Up with Energy, a GridX podcast. I'm your host, Georgia Knapp. Today we are going to go back to where we started, back into the world of EVs and EV chargers specifically. And to help me learn more about this, talk more about this, is Michael Druckenthaner, Key Account Manager at GoE. So Michael, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here.
And just to get started, could you just give us a little introduction to yourself, to GoE as well, in case our listeners haven't heard of you guys?
Sure. Well, let's start with GoE. So GoE is an Austrian company that focuses on manufacturing AC chargers for electric vehicles. That's basically all we do. So we produce AC chargers and a little bit of surrounding equipment that you might want to have in order to charge your car efficiently. GoE is rather young, actually. We celebrated our 10 years company anniversary just a few months ago.
Nice.
And was basically started as a classical startup company from our founder, Peter Pötzi, who is now the CTO of GoE at this time.
Okay.
And since those days, we actually grew pretty fast. And by now, we are the producer of the most commonly used wall box in Germany and Austria in the private sector, and are trying to always improve our products, always improve our services, and grow beyond those borders, expand in new markets, and also into new areas of business.
Okay. And then what brought you into the world of clean tech chargers?
Well, I myself, I'm the key account manager now at GoE, and I take care of our larger accounts, mainly focusing on Austria and southern Germany. But beyond that, I also take care of a lot of our integration partners who use the software interfaces of our devices in order to integrate our hardware devices into larger systems of different kinds. So I myself, basically, I ended up at GoE more or less by chance, to be honest. So it's, of course, I was intrigued by trying out a new business, and a new energy business is something that, is very innovative. And so that definitely led me to be interested in that kind of business. I also do have a little bit of a background in software engineering. So I never really worked in that field, but that helps me a lot in, understanding, controlling devices and so on, because software is a large part of what is going on in new energy. Yeah.
And then you said that GoE manufactures AC chargers. I think our audience would know, but just in case they don't, what is an AC charger?
Well, basically, that means alternate current. So the thing is, what we use in our households normally, the type of electricity is AC, alternate current.
Like for the lights and...
Exactly, for everything you use in your daily life, basically, except for batteries. Batteries always store DC, so that's direct current. That's just the way the chemistry works. So, that means, of course, that in your car, the battery is using DC. But for, different reasons, because it's easier to transmit and stuff like that, in your household, you use alternate current. That has some advantages for this kind of usage. So obviously, if you want to use the energy that you have in your home grid and put it in your car, you have to convert it to DC. To get it into the battery, basically. Yeah. And that, in our case, using an AC charger, that's actually done in the car. So the electric vehicles, basically all of them in Europe, do have a so-called onboard charger. So that's the device that then actually changes the AC into DC that is put into the battery. But since GoE and the idea of our founder Peter Pötzi was to build a charger that you can use at home, well, the charger has to use the kind of power that is available at home. So that's why a wall box typically is an AC device. So you connect it to the AC grid in your house, and basically it then offers this AC energy to the car, and in the car it's converted into DC for the battery.
And we would also, because when we do our EV charging report, which will actually come out this month, we also call AC and DC chargers slow and fast chargers. Why focus on the AC specifically? Like, why not the fast as well, or the fast instead?
Yeah, well, you call DC the fast chargers because in DC charging, you are not limited by the onboard charger of the car. That basically limits how fast you can charge the car with AC, because the car has to be able to convert that energy into DC itself. And of course, you have limited space in the car, and it's also a factor of cost, how big the onboard charger you want to have.
Okay.
So that's why the hyperchargers, the fast chargers that you might see on the motorways and so on, and on the larger charging hubs, those are all DC devices. So basically what they do is they still use the AC that comes from the grid, but they have a station there in the device itself that already converts to DC and then puts the DC directly into the battery of the car. So there you do not have the constraint of having to use the onboard charger. And that's why with these DC chargers, you can, of course, reach much higher amounts of energy. But this is a very different use case. Of course, those devices are much, much more expensive, and you would never be able to use one of those efficiently at home because you just do not have the amount of power available in your household.
Okay.
So that wouldn't make sense. And so as the idea was to have a charger that you can use at home, and at home, normally you have several hours for charging. Yeah, cars are being charged overnight.
Yeah.
Of course, if you got to go somewhere quickly, then, well, normally you should just visit a public charger, a fast DC charger to do that. But typically what we're aiming at is charge your car efficiently, cheap, and eco-friendly at home, overnight, or during the day when it is standing outside. Speed is not that important here. So 11 or even 22 kilowatts are more than enough for that typically. And well, this is basically why we are producing AC chargers. That's just what we want to do. We want to enable people to benefit from charging at home.
And then do you know how GoE approaches load balancing, dynamic tariffs, and grid-friendly charging?
So we as a wallbox producer are required to meet certain standards to make our products grid-friendly. That normally means, like, for example, in Germany, we do have this very famous paragraph 14a.
Never heard of it.
Yeah, I won't go any further than that. But basically it says that we have to create products in a way so that you have to be able to connect them with the grid operator in a way so that in case of emergency, in case of a possible overload of the grid operator in this area can reduce the amount of power that is consumed by your device. So that's, of course, the regulatory side, that you just have to create your products that way. Of course, what we as GoE are trying to create smart products that hopefully, offer features that when used, hopefully in a larger sense, when a lot of people use them, we won't need those kinds of regulatory features because the grid will not be overloaded in the first place. So here is where dynamic energy tariffs come into place. I mean, we are still a long way to go. There's a lot of potential, but basically a dynamic tariff means that you do not have just one fixed price for electricity that you have all the time, no matter if day or night, but that your price can vary over the day. Normally, you get a day ahead price, which means that you do know what price there will be in the next 24 hours, but that might change each hour, or even in shorter intervals than that.
I think in Germany it's now 15-minute
exactly,
intervals.
Yes, that's very new. Now you can even do it in 15-minute intervals. But the idea here is that this makes it possible that you as an end consumer are getting actually the market signal that basically tells whether there is surplus energy available or not. So the idea is a market price for energy is always high if there is a lot of demand and not much energy available, because then you would have to fire up some additional power plants, for example, to meet that demand. And the other way around, if there is a lot of electricity available nowadays, for example, on a sunny day with a lot of PV surplus energy, then the price is very low.
Yeah.
Now, normally, if you have a fixed pricing, you do not recognize that at all as an end consumer. So you have no incentive at all to change your behavior in any way. So the most common thing would be everybody's coming home after work, right? At 6 p.m. and is starting to cook and maybe putting on the radio and the lighting and maybe TV systems or whatsoever. So a lot of energy consumption is going on at the same time. And now with electric vehicle, you might also plug in your car at the same time and it would start to charge. And that could be a problem. So if you have this pricing incentive, then it totally makes sense for you to charge your car at a time where the electricity is much cheaper, which might be during the night, for example, or during a sunny day. And by dynamic by dynamic tariffs, you have this price signal, and you can, by using energy management systems, by using smart devices like GoE chargers, you then can benefit from them in an automated way. I mean, obviously, you could always unplug your car when the electricity is expensive and plug it in again. But obviously, that is a hassle, and you can't be expected to really do that in a serious way. So what we are aiming at, together with all our partners, is to make it as easy as possible. Basically, the goal is to have a set it and forget it system, right? Where you just plug in your car every time you come home, and it will charge if energy is cheap, or if you have your own PV system, if there might be some surplus energy coming from that. So that is, first of all, cost efficient for you. You're saving a lot of money, but also it's grid friendly, because obviously the pricing signal means that if the price is low, then it's good for the grid, friendly for the grid, if you ramp up consumption, and the other way around.
Yeah. And then that's where you're saying, like, if you plug it in, it doesn't necessarily mean your car will just start charging immediately. The software knows, like, hey, everybody's cooking right now, so prices are sky high. Let's wait until 2 a.m.?
Exactly, that's the idea. So the software gets the data about the pricing, gets measurement data about your own energy system. If you have a PV, for example, or you use a battery and battery storage in your household yourself, and you can configure the system in a way that benefits you the most. So let's say you were to have a longer trip every time in the morning to get to work, then you might just say, well, I want at least 40 kilowatt hours of energy in my car battery each morning. So then please just use the cheapest hours at night to charge my car to that level while I'm sleeping. And this only will start. Of course, you have to plug in your car first, but it won't start right away. But it will automatically basically just calculate which hours are optimal for your charging and how long it takes for you to reach the level that you want to, and then do the rest totally automated.
And do you know if GoE started with this in mind, like having the smart charging? I mean, I know you said you're a relatively young company, or did you guys like put that into your operations when you saw the need for smart charging rather than just the plug, it's charging immediately, unplug?
Yeah, well, that's actually one of the smart charging features that our founder always imagined. So basically,
Okay, nice.
yeah, he worked on that right from the start, along with basic systems like just setting a timer. Of course, you could just say, like you have an alarm clock, right? Charger, operate on that level to a specific time. That's, of course, the easiest way. But he very soon also developed systems to automate based on dynamic prices. Of course, those prices have to be available publicly. But that's normally not that much of an issue because most of those dynamic prices are in some way oriented on the EPEX, which is the European exchange for the energy commodity, let's put it that way. So the data normally is available. And of course, also the PV surplus charging was on his mind right from the start. So that's all very important smart features that just improve the efficiency of your charging immensely.
Okay. And do your chargers support bidirectional charging?
Well, not all of our chargers. Our newer charging series will actually be what we call bidirectional ready.
Okay.
So the topic is not really ready for the mass market yet. There still needs to be clarification in some regulatory issues and some additions in some technical parts. But basically, I tend to say that the role of the wall box in bidirectional charge might be not as important as you might think, because at least in AC charging, that is because basically what the wall box does is, of course, it has to transmit the energy back from the car to your household grid, and for that establish kind of a deeper communication between, or enable a deeper communication between the car and your household system. But the most important components are actually, first of all, in the car. The car has to contain an inverter that also is able not only to invert, like in onboard charging, the AC current into DC for the battery, but also the other way around. And that's normally not the case. So when we hear about bidirectional charging in the media, often what is talked about is, well, basically they do not distinguish between AC and DC charging. So oftentimes you would need actually a DC wall box to actually do that with most of the cars that are available at this time.
Yeah.
But there are starting to come out more and more cars that also can do it with an AC wall box potentially. And then, of course, you need a very elaborate energy management system that allows you to control when you want to actually get energy back out of your car, right?
But that's something that ideally a private household could do with just like their single car, like participate in the vehicle to grid.
Yeah, that's the idea, basically, yeah. So, I mean, theoretically, the idea is great, and there is a lot of potential because once you have hundreds of thousands or millions of private vehicles that are ideally, to a large extent, connected to the grid, and you were to being able to access those batteries, just for a short time balancing of the grid, and that, of course, is a lot of potential, but to really, well, make it happen, it's not that easy, obviously. I mean, there have been some pilot projects, tested successfully. So technically it's proven, but you have to get people to engage in that. You need the incentive system and so on and so forth. But I think, to be honest, in terms of grid-friendly charging, there is so much potential that we are still not using simply by delaying the time when you charge, or use flexibility in the timing of your charging. That I think it's much more important to just use this potential first, and then of course vehicle to grid might then be an even greater potential that you can use on top of that. But yeah, I think for just using the flexibility of not having to charge your car when you come back from work at 6 p.m., but just letting either the grid operator or your energy management system or whatever optimize your charging so that it is delayed until a point of time where it is more grid friendly and or more cheap to charge. There is so much potential there, and the technology is there. It's all finished. It all works. It's proven. So let's just use that first. That's my impression that I have.
And so you guys you're an Austrian company. So obviously you work in Austria and also Germany, as you were talking about. What other country? Are you in the Netherlands?
We're
Switzerland?
Yeah. But I mean, by now we are basically available in all European countries, and also Turkey, but to very different degrees. So you can get an GoE charger basically everywhere in Europe, but our strongest markets are now Germany and Austria, and then actually on a third place is already Turkey, and then our Nordic markets in Sweden and Finland. But we are trying to intensify our business, especially in core markets like the Netherlands, the UK, Italy. So we're expanding in a lot of other markets where we just want to grow in the future.
I was asking because do you notice any difference, regulations aside, because obviously then that answer is yes, but in how people use your chargers, why they want your chargers, like from Austria versus Germany or any of the other countries as well. We've never had anyone talk about Turkey on the podcast.
Turkey turns out to be a great market for us. I mean, Turkey, they are now having their own Turkish car brand, the TOG, an electric vehicle car brand. That is, I think, doing very well as far as I know, and they are, of course, a huge country, like with like more than 80 million inhabitants, like in a size kind of comparable to Germany. So the market is huge, and of course, especially the highly urbanized areas in Turkey are electrifying. And in Turkey, GoE is kind of like a premium brand for smart charging, and we're doing well there. But yes, definitely there are some differences in the use of our products and I think of in charging habits in general. Not so much between Austria and Germany. I don't see that much there. To be honest, we are kind of similar, I think, in that respect. For example, in Sweden, so GoE offers a mobile version of our chargers that you can plug into a CE plug. So that means that you can actually put the wall box off the wall and take it with you, for example, to your vacation home.
I did not know that was possible. Okay.
Yeah, actually, that comes in handy, especially if you have a weekend or a vacation home, for example, because then you do not need two wall boxes. You just need take your wall box with you, and you have all the same functionality that the device that is installed in a fixed way does have. And that is something that the Swedish people like very, very much because they tend to have a vacation home somewhere in their vast forest areas. And so this is something that, I mean, the devices are also very common in Austria and Germany.
Yeah.
But especially in Sweden, for example, people like that a lot.
With the mobile chargers that you just mentioned, is that an option people in apartments can use? Like, I mean, they would have their own, because in some apartment buildings, you have like your underground parking, you have your space. Are you able then to have like your own like little portable charger? You just charge it and then take it upstairs so no one else can use it?
Yeah, I mean, you can do that in a different way also. But yeah, I mean, in some apartment building, that is, mobile chargers are being used. It's not that nobody else can use it. Of course, you can secure the charger in a different way. So simply, of course, all our chargers are enabling all our chargers enable you to require authentication, so that you either by software or by using an RFID tag or something, then you authenticate that you are actually the one who is the owner, or that you are actually allowed to charge on that charger. So that in an apartment building, your neighbor can just park on your spot and charge on your charger. So that's not really the issue. Apartment buildings are, of course, a little complicated because oftentimes the chargers would be connected to the same energy meter. So then you have to divide the cost of charging between those households. But there are great systems in place. And with our new charger series, the GoE Charger Pro, we feature, among others, a certified energy meter in the device that then can be used to divide the costs of charging between several users, but also in terms of connecting several chargers to one energy meter. Simply divide the costs between those chargers, or the owners of those chargers.
Okay. And then as a company in the green tech space, how do you guys handle like the fact that these batteries, they will have an end of life at some point? Like, what do you do with the batteries then in a environmentally friendly way?
Well, we at GoE, we are not so much taking care of the batteries themselves, because in our devices,
the chargers. Sorry,
the chargers, yeah.
Sorry, I meant the charger, not the battery.
Yeah. Well, first of all, we try to reduce waste as much as possible. So very important for us is that we focus on reliable products that you do not just throw out after 3 years, but that you can. I think this is always the most important feature of being sustainable, is to make reliable products that have a large lifespan, so as to not produce everything again and again and again.
Yeah.
And for that, as an Austrian company, we also feature our support in Austria, where we also repair chargers that might have some minor issue after a few years. So oftentimes you do not have to exchange them or put them in the trash, but you can simply send them to us, and we can repair those devices. So the idea is to have a long lifespan of the charger.
Yeah.
And also, of course, it's very important to see that the production is environmentally friendly. We are very much trying to source our parts that we need to build our chargers as locally as possible, so that we do not have a huge amount of production. Stuff like that. That is very important. And of course, when it comes at some point to the end of life of a GoE charger, basically it's like any other electronics device that you might have, like your hairdryer or a toaster or whatever.
Are there any big lessons you guys have learned over the past decade that maybe would help other innovators in the same space right now?
Well, that's a very interesting question. I think one of the key issues that you face as a growing company is to manage that growth. It's not that easy. You might see a lot of potential in a lot of things, but you have also to grow as a company in order to take advantage of those situations. So I think growth is, of course, important, but it has to be kind of in a controlled way. And as also GoE suffered a little bit from, you have to be careful, especially in the new energy sector. Sometimes markets are distracted quite a bit by, for example, certain subsidies or political changes, stuff like that, that might expand the market dramatically from one year to the other.
Yeah.
And of course, you have to take the chance, and you have to make the best out of situations like that. That, for example, give you make your products much more feasible to buy for people because there's a subsidy, for example. But you have to keep in mind that this is not a long-term solution. This growth is inflated in some way. So at some point, this kind of growth in the future will then be missing. So you have to be careful not to rely on those distractions in markets too much.
Okay. And that actually will take me into the rapid fire round.
Oh, rapid fire.
Yeah.
Excellent.
We just have 5 questions. Although I think after this chat, I think I know at least the answer to this first one. So which is your preference, AC or DC charging?
AC charging.
Yep. Feel like you couldn't say the other one. If wall boxes were a movie genre, what would they be?
A movie genre? Well, I would say it's also not that much of not that easy question. Let's say they are mystery.
Okay, nice. If you could instantly upgrade every EV on the road with some new charging related ability, what would it be? Like bidirectional charging, ultra fast charging.
I would go with actually vehicle to load. So
Vehicle to load.
Yeah, that's not really charging, but that means that you could. I think it's so handy if you can use the battery in your vehicle on the road, basically to have a simple household socket where you can, not just charge your phone. That is very common, but plug in your vacuum or even your coffee machine, stuff like that.
What is the most surprising place where you have seen a charger installed? But I know you guys are you only do home chargers, so maybe.
On a tree, basically. So, well, if you have, I mean, our chargers are, of course, you can install them outside.
Yeah.
So if you have a carport, you install it in the carport, but you can, if you want, also just, mount it on a tree if the tree is located in a convenient way for you.
Yeah.
And of course, in this case, the cabling was, over the branches, so basically from the top. So flexible.
Nice. Okay. And then the last one is, do you have any advice for somebody who is thinking of going fully electric but still has range anxiety?
Don't have range anxiety. Just don't think that much about range anxiety. Just don't drive your car down to 2%, but look for a charging station at around 20 at the latest. Do a little bit of planning ahead, then everything will be fine for you. Nice. The technology is there.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. This was very interesting. And hopefully we've convinced a lot of people to get their wall boxes now. Yeah,
thanks for having me. We're trying to incentivize people to make it easier for people to go electric, to change to electric vehicles. And I think that's our joint goal also. So let's continue to do that. And thank you very much for having me here in the podcast.
If you'd like to learn more about the world of renewable energy or energy management systems, be sure to check out our website, gridx.ai, where we produce regular blogs and glossaries about the subject. You can also follow us on LinkedIn or on Twitter and Instagram at GetGridX.